In the bustling heart of Lagos, where wealthy Africans paraded their luxury cars like badges of honor, lived Amuli Okafor, a middle-aged black woman whose wealth could buy entire city blocks. Despite owning over 100 buildings and several oil blocks across Nigeria, this tall, graceful woman with her natural black hair neatly styled chose to walk everywhere in simple, modest clothing. The 45-year-old billionaire moved through crowded streets with quiet dignity, her dark skin glistening under the African sun as she greeted hawkers, market women, and beggars by name. Her genuine smile and humble demeanor made her beloved among the common people, who had no idea they were blessing one of Africa's richest women. But not everyone understood Amuli's choices. Whispers followed her through the streets as younger professionals drove past in their flashy cars. Some called the elegant woman foolish, others claimed she was cursed. Rumors spread that this beautiful black woman had sold her soul for wealth and could no longer enter vehicles. The stories grew wilder after a kidnapping incident years ago, where the perpetrators mysteriously died, leaving Amuli to walk home untouched. Amuli's assistant, Uchi, a tall, graceful black woman in her early 30s with professional braids, understood her boss better than most. Having lost her own parents in a building collapse caused by negligent contractors, the same company Amuli later shut down, the Oxford-educated woman saw more than just wealth in her employer. She saw purpose. Each morning, as Uchi watched Amuli stand by the floor-to-ceiling windows of their Lagos headquarters, the billionaire would pause in silent prayer. Her simple dress and natural appearance contrasted sharply with the opulent office surroundings. This daily ritual was sacred to Amuli, a moment of gratitude that had nothing to do with material success. The city buzzed with questions about the walking billionaire. Why would someone with such immense wealth choose the dusty streets over air-conditioned luxury? Why did this stunning black woman, who could afford any car in the world, continue to defy every expectation of how the wealthy should behave? The answer lay buried in a pain so deep that it had transformed not just how she moved through the world, but why she chose to move at all. On a scorching Lagos morning, Amuli encountered a young girl too frightened to cross the busy street. The billionaire's maternal instincts kicked in as she gently took the child's small black hand in hers, her natural hair catching the sunlight as she smiled down reassuringly. The traffic light showed red and all vehicles had stopped, or so they thought. A wine-colored Mercedes suddenly screeched around the corner, its driver slamming the brakes just inches from where Amuli and the child stood frozen. The little girl screamed in terror as the billionaire pulled her close, shielding her with protective arms. The driver's door flew open, and out stepped Kimberly Obi, a stunning 24-year-old black woman with perfectly styled long braids, designer clothes hugging her curvaceous frame, and manicured nails that had never known a day of real work. Her beautiful dark skin was flushed with anger as she towered over Amuli in expensive heels. "Are you mad?" Kimberly screamed, her youthful arrogance on full display. "This is a 75 million naira Benz. Your entire generation couldn't afford it. Instead of looking before crossing, you're here trying to scam someone for insurance money." The gathering crowd watched as this privileged young woman berated the simply dressed older woman who said nothing in response. Amuli's calm demeanor and refusal to engage only seemed to fuel Kimberly's rage further. The billionaire's quiet dignity in the face of such public humiliation spoke volumes about her character. Hours later, Kimberly strutted into the gleaming lobby of Okafor Industries, her confidence radiating as she represented her father, Chief Obi, for a crucial business meeting. The 52-year-old construction magnate had been pursuing this contract for years, and today his daughter would seal the deal while he handled an emergency. Kimberly's perfectly applied makeup and expensive outfit announced her status to everyone in the building. Her father had raised her in luxury, and it showed in every confident step she took toward the private elevator leading to the CEO's office. But when the elevator doors opened and she stepped into Amuli's office, Kimberly's world came crashing down. There, seated behind the massive mahogany desk, was the same woman she had just insulted on the street. The poor woman she had screamed at was actually one of Africa's most powerful businesswomen. The color drained from Kimberly's face as recognition dawned. Her confident posture crumbled and her voice trembled as she tried to apologize. But Amuli's response was measured and devastating. You didn't need to know it was me. You just needed to treat a fellow human being with respect. Chief Obi arrived at his daughter's apartment that evening, his weathered face showing the strain of a deal gone wrong. The 52-year-old businessman, who had built his construction empire from nothing, couldn't believe what his daughter had cost him. Years of relationship building with Amuli Okafor had been destroyed in minutes by Kimberly's arrogance. You called her a poor woman? Chief Obi's voice thundered through the luxury apartment. His daughter, still in her expensive clothes but now, looking small and defeated, knelt before her father as tears streamed down her beautiful face. The consequences were swift and harsh. Chief Obi stripped Kimberly of everything: her car, credit cards, luxury apartment, and personal assistant. From today you take public transport, he declared. Maybe then you'll learn humility. The only way you get your life back is if you secure that contract. The next morning, Kimberly experienced public transport for the first time in her life. The 24-year-old squeezed into a crowded Danfo bus, her designer perfume mixing with the scents of everyday Lagos life. Wedged between a snoring man and a fish seller with a basket of crayfish, the privileged young woman began to understand how the other half lived. At Okafor Industries, Kimberly was mistaken for a cleaner by Chidima, an arrogant receptionist who handed her a mop without a second glance. How dare you come late, you useless cleaner? Chidima barked at the well-dressed young woman who didn't fit her preconceptions of what cleaning staff should look like. Instead of revealing her identity, Kimberly quietly accepted the humiliation. She had never mopped a floor in her life, but she scrubbed toilets and cleaned surfaces with determined focus. When Chidima ordered her to clean the CEO's office, Kimberly's hands trembled as she carried the mop upstairs. Alone in Amuli's office, Kimberly worked with a desperation born of genuine remorse. Every stroke of the mop was a silent apology, every polished surface a prayer for forgiveness. She cleaned windows, wiped chair bases, and even knelt to polish under the massive desk where so many important decisions were made. When Amuli walked in and found her on her knees, still clutching the mop, the billionaire's calm presence filled the room. Instead of anger, there was something else in her eyes: recognition of someone who had been broken and was trying to rebuild themselves. "What are you doing in my office?" Amuli asked quietly, her voice carrying the weight of someone who understood that sometimes the most profound lessons come through the deepest humiliation. Amuli closed her office door gently and walked to her desk, her simple dress and natural hair a stark contrast to the opulent surroundings. The 45-year-old billionaire's dark eyes held a sadness that seemed to reach back through years of carefully guarded pain. "You've learned something most people in power never do," she told the kneeling young woman. "Humility. The kind that doesn't come from being taught, but from being broken." As Kimberly wept, Amuli shared the story that had shaped her life. "I was once like you, pompous, proud, and arrogant. I had a daughter named Chisaram, 7 years old, curious and full of life. She asked me why I never walked her to school like other parents." Amuli's voice cracked as she continued. "I told her that parents who walked wished they could be like us, that they couldn't afford our car. But Chisaram wanted to walk. Filled with rage at her request, I forced her into my new car and drove to school, ignoring her cries and protests." The billionaire turned to face the window, her shoulders trembling. "At a busy junction, a truck ran into my car. Chisaram died instantly. I survived, but she died in my arms, still wearing her seatbelt. If only I had listened and walked with her, she might be alive today." Kimberly sobbed silently as Amuli revealed the source of her transformation. "I walk because that's what she wanted. Every step I take is a step I should have taken with her. Every mile is a silent apology to my daughter. I made a vow that I would never let pride cost me someone's life again." Weeks later, Kimberly joined Amuli's company as an intern. No special treatment, no family connections. The young woman who once drove luxury cars now took crowded buses, ate roadside food, and listened more than she spoke. She filed documents, ran errands, and slowly earned respect through genuine hard work. Uchi, observing this transformation, handled another situation with quiet efficiency. She fired Chidima for her arrogant treatment of people based on their appearance, reminding her that it's not the fabric on their back that defines them, it's the weight of their story. Years passed, and Kimberly rose through the ranks to become Chief Operating Officer, not as Chief Obi's daughter, but as a woman who had learned the value of every person she met. Her father watched with pride as his daughter built something meaningful from the ashes of her former arrogance. Amuli continued her daily walks through Lagos, her simple appearance unchanged despite her immense wealth. She touched lives not through grand gestures, but through quiet dignity and genuine respect for every person she encountered. Her story became a testament that true wealth isn't measured in possessions, but in the lives we touch and the legacy we leave behind.